people next in line, lower class and social slime. They don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Seize the shit, force them back. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one makes countries lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower class and social side, they don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See the shit, force a bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one leaves countries lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is Game On right here on UCY.TV. I think, at least, the best little network on the internet. And I hope everybody's out there promoting this particular radio network because it deserves to grow. It really, truly does. And so anyways, I'm experiencing some global warming, heavy global warming today here. Actually, I can't see across the street right now. We're in the middle of some snow squalls, but I guess that is climate change, not global warming. The climate changed, and now it's blowing a lot of snow and snowing a lot. Anyways, yesterday was kind of interesting. Yesterday, I went to Durham, Ontario, and they got me walking right now. So I got a ride with a friend, and it was I thought, we were going to go over. The plan was to go to Durham and then go out to Michael Schmidt's farm and visit with Michael. He's the milk farmer here in Ontario that's been fighting these ridiculous rules and regulations for the last 20-some years now. Has been raided on numerous occasions and has had his place busted up on numerous occasions. He's had his property broke into on numerous occasions. He's been dragged in and out of court forever. And then he's still standing and he's still defiant. And very mild-mannered man, though. And he just knows right from wrong, and he just keeps plugging away. So I told him that he should book a thing with the police, or book an appointment with the Police Services Board, and that way we can sit down and talk to the mayor, and because he, in that particular municipality, the mayor is the chair of the board, and the other members of the board, and the chief of police is supposed to be there, and the deputy chief is supposed to be there. And so the idea was to leave here around 1, get there about 2, because it's about an hour away, and then go up to the farm for an hour or so, and then head back to the municipal hall for the meeting. Unfortunately, it was storming pretty good when we left. We weren't sure if we were going to leave, and so we decided to give it a shot. And I was really quite happy because when we got out in the highway, there was a cube van in front of us, probably 5 ton, and I thought that's great because he looked like he was rolling along, and I said, that's great, we just tuck in and follow him. And so he was ahead of us a bit, and we caught up to him pretty quick and thought, why is he going so damn slow? Turns out there's a snowplow in front of us. And I figured the plow would go down the road 12 miles or so and turn around and come back. Unfortunately, couldn't get around the plow. He wouldn't pull over, and we ended up following the plow for 25 miles at between 20. I remember I'm sitting there, we're talking, I go, man, what are we going to do here? And I was watching the speedometer, move between 20 up to 40 kilometers an hour and back down to 20 and back up to 40 kilometers an hour. And for you folks in the States, 50 kilometers an hour is 30 miles an hour. So you can imagine how frickin' slow we were going. So by the time we got what should have took an hour, it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so we didn't have time to go out to the farm. And one of the other gentlemen who's been harassed by the police besides Michael, he came to, and it's funny, we were waiting for Michael to show up at the municipal hall, and so I get a call from a farmer, a three-way call, and Enos's license is, I think, under suspension too, so they dropped him off. And while we're waiting, first time I've been in this particular municipal hall, but they're all basically the same anymore. And I went into the counter, and the lady behind the counter was quite pleasant. Just said we were here for the police board hearing, and I noticed on the counter they had all of these, like little newspapers, 8.5 by 11 printed up, stapled together, with the 2020 vision statement, the moving forward statement for the municipality, which is just the next stage of Agenda 21. And I picked one up and I looked at it, and I looked at the secretary and I said, you don't have to do this anymore. And she goes, what? I said, this 2020 stuff, you don't need to do that anymore. I said, have you not heard? More Strong's dead. So there's no need to continue on with this. And she seemed a little puzzled by that, but she just works there. What do you expect? So we all got together here, and there was a little bit of effort getting us into this police board hearing. Somebody was telling us that only Michael could go in because he's the one that booked it, and had to explain to those there, and that it's all these meetings are open to the public, and we're the public, so we're going to be sitting in on it. And so we got that all arranged, and there was a policeman there retiring, and so we had to wait for that little ceremony to take place, and he got a new watch. He showed us his new watch, and they got a little plaque, and they all thanked him for his service for all these years. And this particular guy, when we got back out to Michael's after the meeting, and we were talking about this guy that was retiring, and Michael says, yeah, he's one of the best-known drug dealers in the area. Okay. I mean, it was really a weird day because we had a really hard time getting there, and then when we get everything settled out, we get in this board hearing. And it was about these cameras. Michael has been charged with theft of cameras, government cameras that were put there to spy on his farm. They didn't notify him they were going to spy on his farm. They just did it. And somebody discovered a camera in a ditch, and later on found another camera. And so they picked him up, called the police, and told them they had them. And, if you know who owns them, if somebody calls in about lost cameras or missing cameras, just tell them we got them, and if they can identify them, we'll give them back. But nobody claimed them. And then Michael and them went to the town hall, to the council meetings to inquire about what was going on, and they didn't know anything at that point again. And it wasn't until, that was in July, and it wasn't until October when they raided the farm again that finally the Natural Resources Agency fessed up that they were their cameras, and could they have them back? But at which time Michael had already handed them off to a lawyer. So they turned around and charged Michael with theft. So that was the basic reason we were at the police board hearing, and And then they'd been charged after this when they didn't get the cameras back. Then they came back way later and charged these guys with 5 of them with obstruction of justice or obstructing police while the raid was going on. And none of them obstructed anybody during this time. They just wanted to center these guys out and keep hauling their asses into court. So there was a few questions about that going on. And it was really interesting. We had the deputy police chief looking really antsy. And I brought up I'm surprised they let us even speak there because we weren't part of any delegation. Somehow they grouped us in with Michael's delegation, so me and Paul were allowed to speak. And I was explaining to the mayor, who's the chair of the board, that in fact, I'd done a lot of investigation, a lot of phone calls to the commissioner of police, to the ministry of the police, to the attorney general's office, the premier's office, trying to figure out who's in charge of the police. And it turned out, I explained to them at the meeting that what it boils down to is the police are in charge of the police. And the deputy chief was getting really antsy about this stuff. And some people, then I said, but when I got doing some more investigation, when I looked into the Police Services Act, it says that the board is liable, tort liable, for any wrongdoing of the police. At which some of the board goes, no, that's not right. Well, yeah, it is actually right. And the mayor says, well, it could be right. I don't know. It's a big book to read. Well, you haven't read it. You ought to. So they got the book out and thumbed around for it. And then they go, well, that's just in certain circumstances. And I said, well, no, actually, it doesn't say anything about certain circumstances. It just says you're liable. All this time, the deputy chief is getting really freaking out, man. He's really not liking where this is going at all. And then we got into the questioning of who owns the land that Michael's cows are sitting on, because Enos and Michael was asking about, in order for them to put the cameras to spy on the farm, didn't somebody have to sign off on this, like a judge or a JP? We're the natural resources, and we would like to spy on this particular farm. Don't they need to go to a JP or a judge to get a warrant or to get permission to do this? And the deputy chiefs go, no, nobody needs any permission. And really, so there's no privacy for people. Well, he says, go look around. There's cameras everywhere. Now, they didn't ask to put them up. Well, of course they did. The city of Toronto had to pass laws on that to put these things up. So this guy was really getting off the wall on us, and playing with his taser a lot and that. So anyways, we went through a lot of this stuff, and I said, well, okay, well, like here's a question I'd like answered, like, who owns the land, because you guys keep raiding the place, who owns the land that Michael's cows are on? And the mayor was I kind of enjoyed that exchange, because the mayor was going, well, depends where the cows are. And I thought, well, that's pretty slick from you, because when I said it, I was thinking the cows were at Michael's farm, but you're right. I guess the cows could be just about anywhere. And so I actually got a chuckle out of the chief, which was nice, because the deputy was just off the wall. He says, depends where the cows are. Are they there, or are they over here? Are they over there? Are they at somebody else's farm? I said, I don't know. And I said, we need to find that out. So maybe what we should do is get the deputy over here to go grab a bunch of cameras and throw them up around the neighborhood, and we can, spy and see if we can find out where the cows actually are. Because apparently these cows are causing everybody a lot of trouble. They could leak milk anywhere, right? Contaminate the whole freaking municipality. Because we all know that cow's milk is a toxic, hazardous substance, according to the provincial government and the health agencies. So the chief kind of got a chuckle out of that. Meanwhile, the deputy chief just keeps getting more antsy, and he didn't like my question about the police, or my statements about the police, and that. So he finally got fed up, and he left. When he was leaving the room, I was at the head of the boardroom table there, and he came by me and he just slammed this piece of paper down in front of me, and he's pointing at it, and it says to call the SIU or the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, or call this so-called Independent Complaints Board if you have complaints about the police. None of these things have any teeth. I'd already explained that to them. So I didn't exactly know why this guy was sticking this piece of paper in front of my face. And then he left the room. So we continued on for a while, and we weren't getting a lot of answers on the land part of it. The mayor said, well, maybe the Crown owns it. Well, maybe. But, we need to know who owns the land. I mean, you're taxing these people. You're taxing, you get charged in property tax. So what exactly are you taxing? If you're not sure who owns the land, what are you taxing? And so then I asked him a question. Okay, forget about that. Like, okay, we're sitting in this room in a building which is called the Municipal Hall, and it's obviously sitting on some land. So who owns the land this building's sitting on? And the mayor goes, well, I guess the municipality. Okay, well, if the municipality owns this land, then does the municipality own Michael's land? Who the hell owns the land? Right? So we never got that quite settled out. It sure was getting them, some of the other board members. There was one woman there just kept shaking her head no the whole time. It was really quite humorous. But, everybody was well behaved, and nobody was yelling or screaming at nobody. We're just picking at them. I said, you guys are just, when I told the mayor, I said, you guys at the municipal level aren't even recognized as government. You call yourself municipal government. You're not recognized as a municipal government, at least not by the feds. They make a point that they don't recognize you guys as government. Well, that's because they're the fed. Well, we were created by the province, just like you in the states or anywhere else. Okay, you have the fed, then you got the state, then you got the local level, right? And they're all creations of this or that, the other thing. Okay, so you were created by the province. I get that, but that's where one of the big problems lies. The municipality is a corporation, and the province is a corporation, and you are bound. This is the problem. You are bound to do the bidding of the province or the state, wherever you live. That's part of the game. So really, you're just an extension of whatever political party happens to be in power at the time. So we could call this right now a liberal municipal hall, because it's the Liberals that have power in Ontario. And if it should change to the Conservatives or the Green Party or somebody else, that's who this municipality does the bidding for. So you're just simply an extension of. So you really don't represent the people. You can't, because you're stuck representing the province. And proof of that is that if you don't, whatever the province tells you to do, and this is where we were trying to get, I was trying to get to anyways, this moral part of this, okay? The police chief said that with the last raid that he really didn't want to raid Michael's farm, but he didn't have a choice, okay, because it's his obligation, his duty to do the bidding of the province. So that's where we are in the legal field, which is amoral. So here we have this chief who seemed like be kind of a decent guy. He's older, and I think he wants to just ride this out and retire. But he understood that, and he really didn't want to do it, but he didn't have a choice. So that's when you leave your moral code behind and jump to the legal amoral side of this thing and say you're just doing your job. But he got that, And Michael says, isn't your job to protect the people, to make sure no harm comes to the people? And he agreed with that. But that's not right either, because they take an oath to the Queen, to the corporation. That's who they take the oath to. That's who they serve. They don't serve the people. They don't have the capacity to serve the people. So, overall, it was okay. It was interesting. I know some of the people on the board were somewhat. Some of them were confused, and some of them kind of looked like they accepted what we're talking about, because as far as the municipality, you go in the municipal council or your local council goes if you're in America. If you don't do what you're told to do because you're in the child position, you were created by the state or by the province. If you do not do what your parent tells you to do, they can, I told the mayor, I said, if you don't do what you're told, they can come in here from Toronto and just pick up your sorry butts and throw you out in the snowbank. And there ain't nothing you can do about it. And they just replace you. And I thought the mayor actually would try to qualify that in different terms, but he didn't. He agreed wholeheartedly. If they don't do what they're told, they're out the door. Well, if you have an outside party telling you what to do or you're out the door, obviously you should be yelling at the top of your lungs to the local people how this thing operates, instead of allowing them to believe that the municipal council is actually representing the people. Is what should be going on, but that's not what goes on. These guys are totally closeted. And it was interesting because I've been to lots of council meetings and run in elections and been to police board hearings here, and I just wanted to go to Michael's neck of the woods to see if these people look the same, if they act the same, and they do. They react the very same. So that's why I keep saying you got to get to your local council. You got to get your local council. So, anyways, this thing's wrapping up. And everybody else had pretty much left. Michael and them, they were already out in the foyer and that. And I just, I said, I just want to thank the chief here and the other guy, the deputy chief, for showing up. Because when I had my police board hearing where I live, they didn't show up. I wanted the police to hear that, and I wanted the mayor to hear that. They didn't show up because they knew what they'd been up to, and they knew how they'd been harassing at me when they can't do it. And so you guys were good enough to show up today, whereas where I'm from, they waited outside in their car until such time as I left the building. Then the chief and the deputy chief ran into the building to see what I said. And I said, and just before I go, it was odd because after I was at the police board hearing, in very short time period, the chief retired and the deputy chief was shipped out of here. So you want to keep that in mind. Anyways, we got left in decent terms, I thought. And when I went out there, deputy, we call him Deputy Dog, but first time I ever met the guy, the first time I ever seen the guy. So last time I'd seen him yesterday was when he slammed that piece of paper down in front of me and pointing at it, and he left the room. So when I went to leave, he was outside the door. So I just went over to him, and I still had that piece of paper, and I'd looked at it, and I just went over and explained to him. I said, no, none of these people have any power, none of these agencies have any power over the police. And then he got really ugly, the old veins sticking out crap and that, right? He got really ugly. And I thought, well, this is weird behavior. There's a police board hearing. I just finished saying in there that the board is responsible for the actions of the police they hire, and here's this guy getting real uppity. So he started yelling at me to get out of the building, and you play this stuff by ear all the time, and so I turned around to leave, and I said, whatever. And he was right up my back, and I'm waiting for him to start shoving at me, and I just real quietly told him, I said, don't touch me. because if you touch me, that would be assault, and so you can dance around back there, but don't touch me. And this guy was following me. He's just freaking out. And so I told him one more time, if you do touch me, we're going to court, and that won't work out well for you. I'm certain of that. And so we get out near the doors, and he shoves the door open, and there was people standing there. The reporter was there. Michael was there. Enos was there. Paul was there. A couple other people were there. And this guy's now hollering and screaming and carrying on. And you could see the look in the people that were by the door. They're going, what the hell's with this guy? And he's telling me to get out. He's pushing on the doors and that. And then he's going, I said, well, what are you doing, bud? I said, we were at a police board hearing. It's a public hearing. You know that. And this is a public building. It's called the Municipal Hall. And so it's not like it's private. Well, it is now because I told you to leave. And if you don't get out of here right now, I'm charged with trespassing. I said, well, that's odd. I said I was at a public meeting in a public building, and now you're threatening to charge me with the trespass. And he was just having a spaz. And so I told Paul, I said, I'm going to head out for a smoke here. I don't want to make this any more ridiculous than it already is. So, so then, everybody witnesses this thing and go, this guy wants to be the chief of police? So now we're going to down, and we're probably going to put action on the police board for the actions of that policeman who intimidated, threatened, and so on and so forth, made a real spectacle of himself, and threatened harm. So we'll see what we can do with that, because we got to sharpen these local police forces up somehow. And, go to your police board hearings. Get in there, you don't have to yell at them. Just lay it down to them that they are responsible. And if harm comes to me because of their actions, then guess who's responsible? You. They don't like that. Nobody wants to be liable for anything, and they don't tell you this. So that was really weird, because that was the 11th. Now, we went back, me and Paul and Michael went back to his place after the meeting. Now, we're sitting in his kitchen having a cup of coffee and some goodies, and talking. And Michael, me and Paul almost fell off our stools in the kitchen there, because Michael's going, what's really weird? And I go, what? The police chief that was there? And I go, yeah. He goes, his daughter is a member of our farm share, which is the raw milk and the raw cheeses and all that kind of stuff. And I said, so the daughter of the police chief is partaking as a member in your co-op here, whatever you call it, and she's drinking the milk and eating the cheese and all the raw products that you produce here, and her dad is in charge of raiding the place. He says, yeah, his daughter was really, really ticked off about that. So, we just keep working them, and, they're getting weaker all the time, and that's a good thing. What I find really interesting, though, is that happened yesterday, which was the 11th. Today's the 12th. And what is on the front page of the Toronto newspaper? They call them Canadian police officers. I don't know. I haven't been in Toronto for a while, and I have no want to go to Toronto. There's no white people there. It's not because I'm racist or not racist. It's just, if I go to India or somewhere or China, I'm sure that I would be in the minority if I went there. But in Toronto now, the people that actually built this so-called country, who were mainly European, are basically turned into the minority now. Anyway, so we have this story here. We have York Police Sergeant Gerda Panach, which has a turban on, And I'm sure that isn't, Western European garb. Anyways, he's suing the Peel Regional Police. So he's a police sergeant in New York, suing the Peel Regional Police after he was charged with extortion last year. And the charges have since been withdrawn. Two men accused of an extortion scheme last year, including New York Region Police Sergeant, are suing the Peel Regional Police Services Board. Okay, they're suing the Peel Regional Police Services Board. Because as I said in that meeting, it's very, very, very difficult for the average man or woman to drag a cop into court. It is next to impossible. So where's the Achilles heel? The Achilles heel is the Police Services Board. Okay, because the Police Services Board at the municipality or the city, they hire the police. Therefore, they are responsible for the actions of the police, and in particular the Police Services Board, because it says so in the Police Services Board Act. So it kind of struck me that, I had to work my way through this and read all these damn documents and that to find out that it is actually the Police Services Board that actually is liable for the actions of the police. So the next day, which is today, I got this story on the front page of the Toronto paper, and they're going after the Police Services Board. So, whether you like police or you hate police, that's neither here nor there. But the fact is, an awful lot of people get banged around with the police and they don't know where to go. They try to get them into court. Well, they got so many roadblocks that you getting a cop into the court, it's almost next to impossible. So for any of you people out there who have been having trouble with the police, who have been acting, unreasonable, or really pushing the line, I encourage you to make an appointment to go sit down at a Police Services Board hearing. And I think it would be much more productive to do it that way, running around calling, idiots and stupid and pigs and all this kind of stuff really doesn't accomplish much. So there is a situation there where you can bring it to light. I mean, it did run off the chief here, and it did run off the sergeant. And if I'd known them, because when I went to the Police Service Board hearing here, Logic just told me that they were responsible. I mean, you hired them, so you're responsible for them. And they're going, no, we're just an advisory board. That's what they told me. So they freaking lied when I went to the Police Services Board meeting. They straight out lied. Responsible. It wasn't until later, after phoning the Ministry of Corrections and Safety, and after speaking to the Commissioner's office and the Premier's office and the Attorney General's office, that I finally come to the conclusion. And after I did some study and went to the Police Services Act, did I find out that in fact I was right all along. The board is responsible. Okay. So now we know that. And once again, these people, they like to protect the little racket they got going, and they don't really have any problem lying about it. And so my Police Services Board out and out lied to me, and that ticks me off. So we're going to see what we can do about that. But down in here, where is that? Where is what I dug out of here? I'm not going to whole story. I was just looking for, I don't even see it. Oh, I'll have to go. I sent it to some people on Skype today. Maybe I can dig it out there and put it in the chat, because it's quite interesting. Let me see. I dig this out here. Um, Here's what it said somewhere in the Toronto Star. I know it's there in the story. It said what it says is that the conduct of Peel police officers, and in particular Detective Crane, fell well below the standard of a reasonable police officer in similar circumstances. Okay? The statement of claim alleges their actions were negligent and the defendant police board is vicariously liable for such conduct. Okay? Didn't say the policeman was negligent. Or was it? Yeah, it does. Their actions were negligent, the police, but the defendant is the police board, and is vicariously liable for such conduct, and that's what it says in the Police Services Act. Now, I wonder what in the Police Services Act, they're tort liable or liable and tort. It's a tort, but I'm going, what is vicariously liable? So I'm going to just throw this in, the whole thing into the chat, and it has the link to the story, and it also has a link to the legal definition of vicariously, and so the police have been kind of hiding behind this Police Services Act thing, and the Police Services Board has been hiding the fact that they are in fact liable, because as I told them when I was at my own police board hearing, you hired them. Therefore, you're responsible for them. Now, the mayor and the CAO phoned the police under false pretenses. The police should have never, ever, ever acted on that call because it was outside the scope of OPP duties, of which, when the OPP were here, agreed that the reason they stated that they were here was outside the scope of their duties, but there they stood. So when I went to the police board hearing, and they said, oh, no, we're just an advisory board. We're not responsible whatsoever of the actions of the police. Well, who the hell is? And that's what sent me on the journey to find out who polices the police, and the answer is the police. But who's responsible for the police? The Police Services Board. They're on the hook. And I think we need to understand that and use that to our advantage, because it truly is a bit of an Achilles heel for them. And anyways, that's, I don't know if I got that last link in there or not. Doesn't look like it. So that's the story. I'll go back and I'll get the link to the definition. And you can take a boo at it and put that in your arrow quiver somewhere. It's the way it is. Now, what time is it? 7:30. I don't have time to do this today. I was going to go back. Kathy, I love Kathy. What a researcher. I did it. We talked about Mundalization once, probably, I don't know, a year ago or so. And it's moved along a lot too. And it's totally in our faces. And it's all about world government. That's what Mundalization really is. World. Mundal is world. And it's world government. So the World Federalists and the people from the UNPA and all the NGOs, and they tell you exactly how to implement it. It's the same thing. It's straight out of the United Nations. It's just another extension of the United Nations nonsense. They have, but I don't really have time to do that tonight. So what I think I'm going to do, if I still have that up, I'll do that Thursday night, because it's going to take a full hour really to really get into that. So if I can find what I'm looking for here, I hope it's still here. I'm just going to go through Paul, who took me over to to Durham yesterday. He's only met Michael once before, and that was over at the Walkerton Courthouse, and we didn't get to have much of a visit because well, the only thing we had is a little recess in there. So I really wanted Paul to have an opportunity to sit down with Michael and understand who Michael really is, the kind of man he really is, the fortitude that this man actually has, because he has 18 years as a paralegal. He understands the legalese very, very well, and he understands the trickery behind it and all this stuff, and so he maybe we can use Paul to do paperwork and whatnot. So, or do a little advising here and there. Michael has been ripped off by the lawyers so many times that he says like, what's the point? Anyway, so this is a story I'm going to put in here about Michael. But man, this hour goes fast. So I'm just this is a story that's when he started out, okay, and it's a very good story. But this was written back in 2002, and it starts almost halfway down. We have a heading here called the Milk War. And we have the media once again to thank for an awful pile of Michael's troubles. I've dealt with the CBC before. The CBC has called me before looking for stuff. And, this is, you don't want to get involved with these people. And Michael was a little green under the ears, a little green behind the ears, wet behind the ears when all this started to hit the fan. So he didn't quite understand, the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting System, Canada's broadcasting system, keeping Canadians informed and entertained, right? Sold to the public as a wonderful, wonderful thing. And you got to deal with them for a while to understand what they're actually up to. So after I'm going to read this till around the time and put the link in. The Milk War. Not long after after the Smiths bought their farm, word spread about their biodynamic products, and people began to come from as far as Toronto to buy them. Now, Michael has set this up in Egypt and Russia, in Germany, and when he was doing that, he was still a very young man in his 20s, and very, very intelligent man, who just wants to milk his cows and get people good food, that's all, and he's been hammered. Anyways, many wanted fresh farm milk, and they liked the idea of purchasing directly from the farm. Michael developed a cow lease program wherein the consumers could lease a cow or portion of a cow to supply fresh milk. The program was called My Cow's Milk. Sales increased in 92 when he opened a store on the farm. He was told by one farmer that the people at the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs Dairy Inspection Branch were aware of this program but wouldn't interfere unless it became widely known. Now, this actually happened later on, much later on, when Michael was defending himself in court, that a prosecutor actually told him, we don't give a damn about your milk, okay? Just go back up where you come from and sell it locally, and nobody's going to bother you. But you're bringing it down here to Toronto, and we can't have that. So it's not about the milk, okay, really, because they said, just go back home and sell it, nobody's going to bother you. Anyways, the Milk War began in 94 after the filming of a Canadian broadcast CBC documentary on Glen Colton. That's the name of the farm. It was our own fault, says Michael. We should have never agreed to the publicity. CBC pre-publicity said that the documentary would shake the entire dairy industry. Okay, it's all about the dairy industry, and they've been on his butt ever since. The first battle in the milk war came 2 days before the documentary would be aired. Okay, the Owen Sound Health Unit raided the farm, seizing dairy products. The products were tested to prove they were unpasteurized, but no test was done to find out whether or not there were any harmful bacteria present. Charges were laid under the Health Protection and Promotion Act. The Owen Sound Health Unit and the Ontario Milk Marketing Board announced that the Schmidt's dairy operation was a health threat, but none of the families drinking this risky product was warned by the Ministry of Health that they were consuming something harmful. It has nothing whatsoever to do with health. It has to do with control of the food system. Anyways, in April at a Toronto farmers market, officials of the North York Health Unit conducted a raid supported by 2 police cruisers, which proceeded to block Michael Schmidt's van and prevent his leaving. A 2-hour search followed, but the officials found no dairy products. Michael's jury trial occurred in 94. The government argued that raw milk carried all sorts of hazards. Dr. Murray McQuiggy claimed that 22 cases of foodborne disease related to the consumption of raw milk had occurred during the past 3 years. Even farmers who drank raw milk, this kills me. This is what they call your government, folks. And this is a court case, a jury case. Even, this is the doctor, too. This is the head of health. He says even farmers who drank raw milk were cited as hazards because they could be carriers of bacteria. Okay? So if a farmer's on his farm and he reaches in the fridge and has a glass of raw milk and goes to the mall, that farmer becomes a risk to everyone else in the mall because somehow this said bacteria is going to jump out of this said farmer and get you and fill you full of disease and bacteria. I mean, it's ridiculous. One government witness was an undercover agent who had bought butter and milk and had sent it and sent a sample to the lab. The results showed high levels of bacteria. Now that sounds bad, but under cross-examination, it was revealed that the agent had waited 6 weeks before sending the sample to the lab. And they wonder why there was a high bacteria count. The prosecution trotted out all the arguments against raw milk that had been appearing in the Toronto press. Raw milk had no health benefits, said the experts. It was a source of TB, salmonella, E. coli, listeria, and on and on and on and on. Although cases of contamination have never been linked to the consumption of raw milk, that did not prevent health officials from engaging in guilt by association. Officials also cited death of a Peterborough infant who mysteriously died of meningitis in 1984. A panel of medical experts said the baby caught the bacteria from another baby in the hospital nursery whose mother had drank raw milk during her pregnancy. I'm not going to repeat that. You guys can read that later. This is your government health people. This is your government prosecutors. This is how ridiculous this is. This is an expenditure of your tax dollars in bizarro land. And this is way back in '94, and it has gotten much more ridiculous since. I mean, okay, I got to do this again. So this baby died from Peterborough, died in 1984, and a panel of medical experts. You trust the medical experts? You trust scientists? You better give your head a shake. A panel of medical experts said that the baby caught the bacteria from another baby in the hospital nursery whose mother had drank raw milk during her pregnancy. And that's why raw milk is dangerous. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe the medical experts are the dangerous ones here. They're a product of the university, so they're also a product. So they're a dangerous product. They should be licensed. They are licensed, but they are a danger, a much bigger danger than a natural food product. Many witnesses for the defense presented evidence that raw milk had proven therapeutic for them. They voiced concerns about the indiscriminate use of antibiotics and bovine growth hormones, which, although technically illegal in Canada, are smuggled over the border and used in some herds. A number stated that they were lactose intolerant and unable to consume pasteurized milk. Dr. Ken McAllister, a general practitioner, testified that he had never encountered any health problems among hundreds of patients who consumed raw milk. He cited a 400-bed hospital in Germany where raw milk was given as a treatment for many serious diseases. Now, see, Michael had set up this biodynamic farming thing in Germany when he was in his 20s, and he'd learned it from this other old biodynamic farmer. Proper farming practices, no pesticides, no inoculations, none of this stuff. And here we are. Michael moves to Canada, and he's being SWAT teamed all the time for over 20 years now. And back in '94, during this court case, Dr. Ken McAllister cited that a 400-bed hospital in Germany where raw milk was given as a treatment for many serious diseases. Now, my father-in-law, who had C. diff here, and they couldn't cure it, weren't trying to cure it. It was definitely, they were trying to kill the man. And by that time he was over in a home, and it was pathetic to watch. And I actually went and got myself some raw, unpasteurized, liquid yogurt, and took it to the home, and I was grateful. It was a rural home. They were beside themselves. They didn't know what to do to help my father-in-law. So they agreed to give him what I brought. And almost instantly, the C. diff was killed, and he never had a recurrence of it. And the problem was they were giving him pills. It would stop. The second they took him off the pills, he would have a reoccurrence of it. They couldn't kill it. And one quart or pint, whatever it was, of raw, unpasteurized, liquid yogurt, and it cured him of that C. diff, never to have a reoccurrence of it again. And here is a cited 400-bed hospital in Germany where raw milk is being used to help people with serious diseases. Under cross-examination, Dr. McQuiggy, the government's chief witness, admitted that TB and brucellosis are rare in dairy herds now, and that salmonella is more likely a cause of contamination in meat or eggs than milk. Meningitis has also often been traced to the contaminated water supply, as was typhoid and other bacterial diseases. Smith's lawyers forced the health department to retreat to the lame argument that flying birds over fields might drop E. coli and contaminate the milk. The presiding judge said that the verdict would take 4 weeks, but it actually took 4 months. During that period, the Smiths continued to provide raw milk, but in August '94, the day before the verdict, Michael came out of his barn to the sight of police cruisers. At the behest of one humorless inspector, the police confiscated milk, butter, and cheese. Michael convinced them to dump it rather than take it, so at least the pigs would profit from the milk and the cheese. After the verdict, in which the Smiths' raw milk was found to be a health hazard, there was a civil trial that charged Smiths with 7 counts, ranging from mislabeling to resistance to the direction of a health inspector. During this period, other damage occurred on the farm, damage that could not be directly related to the health authorities. Milking machines were destroyed. 2 cows were found dead. The building that housed the cheese equipment was broken into 4 times. The Ontario Provincial Police investigated with no results. All they could do was warn the Smiths not to let their daughters walk to school and to be careful. This is over milk. There was one more official raid in which the Owen Sound Health Unit attempted to remove butter from the Smiths' private cooler. A heated exchange between the authorities and Michael ensued. The authorities left without the butter, but the Smiths were punished for defending their own food against confiscation with more charges. The most sinister skirmish in the milk war occurred when an employee of the Smiths, actually a cousin, surprised 3 men who were in process of breaking into the cheese house. One agent was Canadian, but the other 2 were East Germans. He recognized their accent, also remembered reading that the East German intelligence agents had been hired as private detectives in North America. The cousin was thrown into a van and forced to tell them where Michael Schmidt was at the time. Then they drove to that house, set up infrared cameras and listening devices, and stayed for half an hour. After this, the cousin was pushed out of the van and told not to tell anyone about the incident or he would be sorry. The Schmidts again called the OPP for investigation, but without results. Local farmers told the Schmidts that they had been asked. This bust me up, man. Local farmers told the Schmidts that they had been asked if they would house surveillance teams. For a period of several months, vehicles were parked on the road close to the farm both day and night. Whenever farm personnel approached these cars, they took off. License plate numbers were recorded and passed on to the police, who said they were unable to trace them. The police were never able to tell Michael Schmidt who was responsible for the communist-style surveillance, but it is not hard to pick up who was most likely the culprit. In Canada, about 80% of the milk comes from confinement cows, and one or two corporations, one of which is a beer manufacturer, controls at least 50% of these dairy operations. Now known, it is now known that certain public relations firms offer surveillance of rivals as a service to their clients. The civil trial went badly. The lawyers were not very good and missed deadlines just before the trial began. The Schmidt's farm insurance was dropped. Michael called numerous other agents, all of who told him he could not be insured. The lack of insurance forced him to plead guilty to the civil charges. Immediately after pleading guilty to the charges, his insurance was reinstated. And we're just about out of time here. So I'm going to put this story. This is way long. There's a really good history in here of where Michael came from and his background and all that kind of stuff. That was back in 92 when that really got going, 92, 94. And it is now 2016. And that's just one of the numerous raids on his farm. And when I took Paul out to the farm yesterday, he thought that was the most peaceful place he'd ever been at. You know, the children were all happy. I guess they're happy because they finally got a little bit of snow, so they're doing a bit of snowmobiling and stuff. But this is the kind of thing that goes on in our country that never gets reported properly in the media. Ever. So I'm really glad we went to the police board hearing yesterday. I'm glad Michael decided to go there because now we have the police, the mayors, the board all in one room, and we can deal with them a little better, let them understand we get it now because they didn't come forward with the information they should have come by with a long time ago. Anyways, that's the show for tonight, I guess. Saturday night again on a Revolution Radio show, Canada Live over there, which I host at 10 o'clock on Studio B. Dr. Rebecca Carl is going to be my guest. I had a chat with her this afternoon. We had a nice little chat, and she's getting beat around as well. And so she stopped doing shows as far as a regular broadcast show. And, I said that's actually not a bad idea because you're really concentrating on one subject so that, you can come on my show or other shows and that, and we can go from there. So I'm really looking forward to Saturday night with Rebecca Carley. And I guess on Thursday night, I'm going to go and discuss this Mundialization a little bit deeper and put the connections to the Rockefeller Foundation and the UN and all the rest of it. And write down again to your local level how to Mundialize your local community. All right? Local community, folks. You got to get down to the local community. Forget about all the other stuff that's going on. Get to the local. Anyways, I hear music. Thanks for tuning in. That went quick, and we'll see you on Thursday night. Okay, everybody take care, and I guess we're out. Be good, folks. Bye-bye.